Biomancy and Immortality. The Emperor is what you'd call a perpetual, which means he can't die for good. If his body gets destroyed, it kicks into repair mode and he comes back to life. He's been around for about 50,000 years, having been born at the very beginning of human civilization when a group of ancient shaman mystics decided to reincarnate into one being to help guide humanity through the tough times ahead. His body has an incredible ability to regenerate from severe damage, heal wounds that would be fatal to anyone else, and even change its physical form whenever he wants. He's been known to adjust his size, alter his genetic appearance, and reshape himself to fit whatever situation he finds himself in. For most of human history, he walked among regular folks, steering civilizations and battling chaos while keeping his true identity under wraps. The Adeptus Mechanicus sees him as something that shouldn't even be biologically possible, a human body housing a psychic soul of godlike power without burning out. The most striking example of his power is how he survived the Siege of Terra. After years of fighting the Webway War in a semi-catatonic state and taking multiple devastating hits during the final showdown with Horus, his body was left in catastrophic damage that should have been fatal. He still managed to obliterate Horus's soul with one last psychic strike. But even an immortal has limits. The wounds Horus dealt were not typical battle damage. Horus was fully powered up by all four Chaos Gods at once, making him arguably the most dangerous individual in the entire material universe at that exact moment. The damage he left behind was so deep and so thoroughly wrecked at both a physical and psychic level that even the Emperor's ability to self-repair just can't keep up. 10,000 years later, he is technically still healing, but the healing is losing the race against the decay. The Astronomican Projection. The Astronomican is the most important beacon in the entire galaxy. Without it, Imperial ships can't navigate through the warp, the dangerous parallel dimension that makes faster-than-light travel possible. The Emperor projects this beacon from his position on the Golden Throne. The Astronomican gets a boost from a group of roughly 10,000 specially trained psychers called the Choir, who channel their own psychic energy into it to amplify the range. But the Emperor's personal contribution is what keeps it strong enough to actually work. Without him, the Choir alone just isn't enough. This is the core reason the Emperor can't leave the Golden Throne. It's not that the throne is holding him prisoner, it's that stepping away from it would kill the light that every single Imperial ship depends on to navigate. He made that call at the end of the Horus Heresy and hasn't moved since. The clearest proof of how critical the Astronomican is came when the Great Rift formed, a massive tear in reality that split the galaxy in two during the 13th Black Crusade. Worlds on the eastern side of the rift lost the beacon's signal almost immediately. Warp travel in those regions became impossible, fleets disappeared, and worlds were cut off within months. An entire half of the galaxy went dark overnight. That's what the Astronomican actually does, and the rift showed exactly what happens the moment it disappears. Psychic blasts and targeted memory wipe. When it comes to raw offensive psychic power, the Emperor has no competition in all of human history. He can unleash psychic force as a physical weapon, blasts that vaporize targets outright, way beyond what any Space Marine librarian or battle psyker could ever manage. On top of that, he can reach directly into someone's mind and surgically remove specific memories, leaving the person completely functional and unaware that anything is missing. This isn't the clumsy mind-wiping the Inquisition does with drugs and crude hypnotherapy. Where those techniques bludgeon a person's memory broadly, the Emperor can reach in and take out exactly what he wants, clean and undetectable. The most chilling use of this power involves the 2nd and 11th Primarchs, two of the Emperor's own sons who were completely wiped from Imperial history under an event called the Edict of Obliteration. The Emperor, working through Malcador the Sigillite, suppressed the personal memories of the surviving Primarchs themselves, so that even beings like Rogel Dorn and Robute Guilliman couldn't recall their missing brothers. When surgical precision isn't the point, the Emperor can flip the switch entirely and use his psychic might as a blunt force weapon against an entire army at once. The clearest example is what happened on the planet Kur. When the Emperor decided to make an example of the Wordbearer's Legion for worshipping him as a god, he projected a single crushing wave of psychic pressure across the entire battlefield, and all 100,000 genetically enhanced Space Marines plus their Primarch Lorgar dropped to their knees. Soulbinding. This is a process where the Emperor directly connects a Psyker's soul to his own. Without it, a Psyker's abilities create an unshielded presence in the warp, basically an open invitation for demons to follow the signal back into the physical world. Through direct psychic contact, the Emperor permanently bonds a part of his own consciousness to the Psyker, creating a shield that makes demonic possession harder to pull off. The result is an astropath, a sanctioned psyker who can send and receive psychic messages across thousands of light years without getting consumed by whatever lives on the other side of the warp. The process is painful and leaves permanent damage. Nearly all astropaths come out of it blind because the sheer intensity of the Emperor's psychic presence overwhelms their normal senses. Each soulbound costs the Emperor a portion of his finite psychic energy. That's a big part of why approximately 1,000 psychers are fed to the Golden Throne every single day, not just to keep the Astronomican burning, but to replenish what the soul-binding process constantly drains from him. The very first mass soul-binding ceremonies happened before the Great Crusade even launched, when the Emperor personally conducted the rituals that created the initial Astropath Corps and the Astronomican Choir. Those first Astropaths are what made it possible to coordinate fleets across the entire galaxy for the first time in millennia. Precognition. The Emperor can see the future, a massive web of branching possibilities, thousands of potential timelines stretching forward, each one hinging on decisions that haven't been made yet. He's been reading and navigating that web for 50,000 years, making moves in the present that are designed to influence events he's already seen coming from centuries away. The clearest proof of this is the Primarch project itself. He engineered 20 godlike warriors from his own genetic and psychic essence before any of the threats those warriors would eventually face had actually appeared in history. He built the solution before anyone else had even identified the problem. Chaos is the main force that works to scramble this foresight. The four chaos gods collectively try to inject noise and misdirection into the Emperor's vision of potential futures, which partly explains why his plans have sometimes gone wrong. Telepathy and psychic architecture. The Emperor can project his consciousness across the entire galaxy instantly, reaching out to specific individuals regardless of the distance. This isn't just basic communication. He can transmit full experiences, intentions, and complex knowledge with an unmatched level of precision. He used this ability to run the Great Crusade from Terra while his Primarchs were fighting hundreds of thousands of light years away, keeping direct awareness of 20 military campaigns happening across the galaxy at once. While at it, he was also projecting the Astronomican, maintaining psychic wards over the Imperial Palace, conducting an active one-man war against demonic forces inside the Webway Tunnel beneath Terra. He personally designed and built the Webway barrier that holds those demonic forces back. It's an active psychic construction that requires his constant attention to keep standing. He can't step away from it without it collapsing and releasing demons directly onto Terra. The custodians who witnessed it couldn't fully process what they were seeing. Living Saint channeling. The Emperor can channel a portion of his power through specific mortal individuals, turning them into what the Imperium calls living saints. These people end up with abilities way beyond any ordinary psyker or warrior, near invulnerability to physical damage, weapons that burn with holy fire, and most importantly, the ability to come back from death. The way it works is that when a living saint dies, the Emperor holds onto their soul, keeping it from dispersing into the warp or getting consumed by whatever leaves there, until the moment it can re-enter the physical world. Every living saint in the historical record has turned up at a specific crisis point, a moment where one person's miraculous survival turned the tide of something much larger. Saint Celestine is the best documented example. During Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade and the fall of Cadia, she died and was resurrected multiple times throughout the campaign, each return happening at the precise moment the Imperial defense was on the verge of collapse without her. After Cadia fell, she continued protecting the surviving flotilla on the desperate journey toward Macragge, dying and rising again as needed along the way. Her record across thousands of years of documented service shows a pattern of perfectly timed resurrections. Anathema Aura. The Emperor's psychic nature is basically the direct opposite of everything the warp is made of. The warp runs on chaos, raw emotion, and formless energy. The Emperor's soul is ancient, ordered, and purposeful beyond anything else in existence. When demonic entities get close to him, they don't just take damage, they start to fall apart. His presence is a kind of psychic radiation that creatures made of warp stuff simply can't hold themselves together against. Warp-based powers break down in his immediate vicinity. The Imperial Palace itself has been so thoroughly soaked in his aura over 10,000 years that demonic manifestation is measurably harder on Terra than anywhere else in the galaxy. The most significant example of the passive version came at the climax of the Siege of Terra aboard Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. When the Emperor arrived, thousands of demonic entities were already present throughout the ship. During the final confrontation with Horus, not one of them intervened in the duel, despite being in range and despite Horus being their chosen champion. Every source describing the battle consistently places the demonic forces as keeping their distance from wherever the Emperor was standing. Technopathy and Master Artisanship. The Emperor's relationship with technology is in a completely different category from anything the Adeptus Mechanicus has ever achieved or fully understood. He designs and builds things that the best engineers in the Imperium have spent thousands of years studying and still can't replicate. His Webway project is the most ambitious engineering project in human history, designed to give the entire Imperium a safe, demon-free alternative to traveling through the warp. If it had worked as intended, it would have made conventional warp travel largely obsolete. When Magnus the Red accidentally destroyed the psychic wards protecting the Webway tunnel, the project collapsed and the throne was repurposed as a containment device instead. The Adeptus Mechanicus has been studying it ever since. He also personally engineered all 20 Primarchs from his own genetic and psychic essence, a feat of biological design so complex that the Mechanicus classifies it as literally divine creation, and designed the original Space Marine gene seed. The most dramatic example is what he did with Magladroth, known as the Void Dragon, one of the most powerful Catan or ancient star gods in the galaxy. The Emperor defeated the Void Dragon in direct combat and built a containment system beneath Mars that has held for approximately 10,000 years. Thanks for watching until the end. Click here to check out another video and see you in the next one.